Cordelia had to contend with were, for example, frosts and freezes that killed their crops, enormous rainfalls that drowned their fields. They still made a go of it, but they did so as a family.
People who worked here were a lot of people from the surrounding community. They were all friends of the Knotts.
When Walter had this property here in Buena Park, he did have some small shacks and sheds in which people lived. Paul von Cleveland was one of his tenants who just lived here. Walter said, if you can survive on our cooking, you can stay as long as you want.
The Knott kids were small even. There were other kids who helped pick berries, and it was a very community-oriented farm.
I think that's what people need to remember, is that Walter and Cordelia Knott had 4 children, and they were there every single morning, tending fields with their father and doing everything they could to make ends meet, not just for mom and dad, but for the entire family. It was important when Walter Knott continued to grow this farm that his children were an absolute part of it. He was definitely in the business of berries when, in about 1923, Rudolph Boysen, not too far away from here, wound up developing his own berry. This unnamed berry was part young berry, part raspberry, part blackberry, and put it all together and it was a big, beautiful, juicy berry. But unfortunately, Rudolph Boysen didn't know how to market these things, so he abandoned this spectacular shrub and just left it to die. This unnamed berry came to Walter Knott. He discovered it through the grapevine, tracked it down in Anaheim, took a few clippings, and Walter said, I'm going to give this a chance. That was about 1932. 2 years later, the berry was named the Boysenberry, and Walter Knott was making a lot of money off of this one berry. It was bigger than anything anyone had seen before. It was sweet and tart and just beautifully juicy. Cordelia Knott was making preserves out of it, tarts and pies. And Walter Knott started, after a while, selling the shrubs to farmers nationwide.
They started selling berry vine through mail order. They developed a catalog to show how to plant the berries and how to grow them, how to get them to produce the best crop they could.
The first thing he did was he invested in making a permanent structure. He wound up constructing a little tiny roadside stand with just a few doors, a dirt floor, and next to that a tea room. In the berry market, he wound up selling Cordelia's preserves and fresh berries by the pallet. But next door, Cordelia Knott had a tiny tea room where she made sandwiches and you could enjoy a slice of pie.
One Sunday, while Walter was out in the fields, she cooked up chicken dinner and served 8 chicken dinners that first day for 65 cents each. It was about 1936 that they decided to enlarge the tea room and add a little bit more space for how popular the dinners on Sundays were becoming.
The wait time for Cordelia Knott's Chicken Dinner Restaurant was over 3 hours on Sundays. They would serve thousands of people, sometimes running out of chicken, and people were still waiting for food. All these folks were trampling through his berry fields, and he wanted to keep them contained and entertained. He knew he had to do something big, and it was about 1940 that he actually confided in a friend, I'm going to build a ghost town. They created the most authentic looking ghost town you could possibly imagine. And some of it, believe it or not, some of it was real. Structures such as the blacksmith shop was a real functioning blacksmith shop located just a mile or so away at a different farm. And the legend of Knott's Berry Farm was born. It's amazing that everything that's here now can be traced back to a boysenberry and fried chicken, but it's absolutely true. What few people realize is that Walter and Cordelia Knott came to this piece of property in 1920, built a house on it in 1927, and they both stayed. They've stayed for the rest of their lives. Walter Knott had a big heart, but he was definitely a good American, and he shared his wealth with others. at every chance he had. It was a family farm that turned into a ghost town, that turned into an entire theme park, and they were there to watch over all of it. I am thrilled to think that they're still with us to this day, just smiling down, toasting boysenberry juice to see what they've accomplished. Their names and legacy will live on.